Again, thank you for taking a minute out. It's great to meet you. I appreciate it.
Very nice to meet you. So happy to be here.
So let's begin with what we've all lived through, and I'm sure it affected the way that you do business and just it affected everybody on the planet, which was COVID. How did you survive that 3-year time period now that the world's waking up and opening back up? And how has it changed the way that you conduct your business and live your life now?
Yeah, I had a construction company at the time that I was pretty much winding down. So we weren't closed, right? Because I can't even think of the name of the term now. That's how we were critical, whatever. I don't know. They didn't close us. So that was fine. How it affected me primarily was just being. I'm a homebody anyway. I hermit really well. I love to create. I love to write. So I'm in a lot anyhow. But you couldn't go out. I think the masking really bothered me. It was scary at first. It was scary for everybody at first, right? And then I was like, I don't know, right? Some things just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You asked me to mask to walk to a table, and then I could take my mask off.
Are you kidding? I know.
So some of that I was like, but I have a home in Florida, and I just picked up and came to Florida. We were free in Florida. We could, the businesses stayed open, the schools stayed open. We could get out. We could live our lives. So, that's pretty much what we did. I think the masking really bothered me because and my son would tease me, right? He's like, just put it on. But we communicate so much with our faces, right? And I smile a lot. I couldn't smile at anybody. People seemed really afraid of other people, right? You pass by somebody in the aisle at the grocery store, and it was just abnormal. It was so different from what we were accustomed to. So that probably bothered me the most, but I was fortunate to have that was in Virginia, and I had my company in DC at the time, but I have my home here in Siesta Key, and so I just came to Florida and got away from it.
Speaking of, I've been to Siesta Key a few times. It's beautiful down there.
It is gorgeous. I love it here.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Let's get to the heart and soul of exactly what you do for a living. And to do that, I want to hypothetically put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day at a grade school. Okay. One of the kids looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
A third grader. I would tell them that I teach people that it's really important to think about what you do, to think about how you react, and to put, I guess a third grader would know the word intention. My son's 30 now, so it's been a while since I've been around third graders.
Yeah.
But just to be a little more intentional, right? And I would teach them to be accepting of other people and compassionate to other people. We never know what someone else is going through. And probably what I would focus on most is emotional regulation, and also honoring your emotions and healthy expression and release of them.
So explain to a guy like me, what do you do as a consciousness coach? Who's coming to you? What's your clientele, and what's your ultimate goal with them?
So excuse me a minute. right now I am coaching successful entrepreneurial women, pretty much, right?
Okay.
And they could be C-level executives or what have you. And I have found, I mentioned to you that I have a theory of, a theory of modern consciousness. And a lot of us, our lives, we begin to get frustrated. We kind of run on automatic, right? We may have made some conscious decisions, and we most certainly made some conscious decisions along the way. Choice of career, to get married. Did we want children? Do we work for somebody else? Do we start our own business? We make all of these choices. Do we enroll the kids in soccer? The list goes on and on and on. And what I have found is that our lives get overtaken by the actions, right? So the momentum of our lives starts pushing us forward rather than stopping and reevaluating and readdressing where you want life to go in the future, right? Because we tend to do these long range sort of projections on what we're doing, right? College is a number of years, a career spans a number of years. And when we run on automatic, we're just keeping up, right? We're just keeping up, and frustration grows, and I think resentment starts to grow. And then, depending on where our focus is, other aspects of our life, other domains of our life that might be very, very important to us start to wane, right? They're not getting the attention and focus from us. So, what I do is I help high achieving women sit down and reevaluate what's going on in their life, and hopefully prevent a crisis. Crisis, a lot of people end up in crisis, and that's where they have a significant life change. I'm a big believer that you don't have to have a crisis to do that if you're intentional and sort of monitor things along the way. I think the frustration and the frustration and resentment grows when we are out of alignment with our true values. So if you're really not getting something that you need in your inner self, right? And we don't usually look at our inner selves all that much. At least a lot of people don't. If we're really missing out on a core value that we require to be happy, then that's when we start to get frustrated and anxious and grouchy and all the things.
Yeah. So let's go back in your life to where all of this began. Where were you born and raised, and what were the seeds that were put into you early on in life to be so good at business and to help others get to a better place in their lives?
Well, yeah, I was born in Miami, Florida. I had a good family. My parents stayed married and until my dad died in 2013. I was raised with good values. I had a mom and a dad in a home. It's funny, Les Brown and I were talking about this not too long ago, and the importance of he was really talking to me about the importance of the father figure in the home. It was a good upbringing. Was it perfect? No, but they instilled in me some really, really good values. It was perfect in many ways. And I just wrote an article about this a couple weeks ago, I think, that I never really realized I have this very strong, and I didn't really realize it until maybe a couple of years ago, that I came naturally, like out of the womb, with this strong desire for self-actualization, right? And we are trained. We have to be trained. We come out of the womb, we're helpless, right? So we adopt beliefs from our parents and families and ways of behavior and habits in the institutions that we attend and so on and so forth. I sort of personally, I abided by those rules for a while, and then in my early teens, I just did not, right? I was very intent, it's just my personality, very intent on figuring things out myself and creating my own experiences. So I think I have a natural tendency to do that, which helped me along the way. I don't generally have much fear. I'm pretty bold, and I will step into things that I have never done before. And I've done some things that people would probably never even think to do. One of the things I did was put a deal together to acquire a $50 million software company without investing a penny. They laughed at me a lot. They thought I was crazy, called me the cashless investor. But I had the idea. I persevered. I pulled someone on my team to fill in the areas that I wasn't very strong at, where I needed some help because I didn't know much about acquisitions and mergers. Or I guess they actually call it mergers and acquisition, M&A. But but I did it. So it's kind of been my life, right? When my son was born, I wanted to stay home and raise him, got a farm, and I started raising llamas. And, I could vet llamas and turn babies in the womb, birth, the whole 9 yards. My mother was out there one day going, "Where did you learn this? You're a city girl." I just I just did, right? So it's just kind of my nature.
So who's been kind of a role model? Who's been an inspiration for you in your life?
You know, I think my mom has been the biggest inspiration, and I say that um because she did teach me. And I mean, my dad taught me too. They both taught me everything to be, right? I have a caveat with my mom, also everything not to be, right? So I saw she really liked things to always be her way. She wasn't always very flexible. She had a rather narrow set of beliefs in some ways, right? Those beliefs formed me and shaped me in a very, very good way. Um, but I also saw things in her that I didn't want to be. So I made the effort not to be those things.
Yeah.
So I made good out of her bad, for lack of a better word, as well, right? So I accepted all of it and turned that into creating the best me that I could. And it doesn't mean it's been easy for 66 years either. I've had
Sure.
my ups and downs, but that would be my answer to that question.
So as a highly driven businesswoman, if you can meet anybody out there on the planet and spend a little time and get to know them or pick their brain, who would it be?
Oh gosh. So it's not going to be a business person. This is going to be the most bizarre person you might think. But I love to study humanity and human behavior and what makes us tick. And honest to God, if I could sit down with anybody, it would be Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I think he is an extraordinarily talented performer. It's in so many ways, and I think if there's, I'd love to pick his brain. I'd love to
Yeah.
find out what happened there.
That'd be
And
interesting.
that's
Very interesting.
Yeah, I think it would be a really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Very good. So what is the ultimate motivator for you? Somebody that's motivating others. What is your motivation to get you through the day and to accomplish what you want to get done?
my primary motivation for myself is to be pretty much, I want my default state, and it is. My default state is pretty much one of joy. Um, I'm I'm a very thoughtful and intentional person. I like to live through intention. It doesn't mean I don't have a bad day, or that sometimes something comes up that I need to process that emotion. I mean, this is where I'm at today, right? So I've learned a lot of lessons and had a lot of practice to get here. Um, I really feel that at this point in my life, I think everything has led me up to being able to help and serve others. And the idea for this company that I have now, I was in tech and then construction, and I've just done a lot of things over the years. Um, was pretty much gifted to me through meditation, right? So I had these ideas, I had information channeled come in for me that was really like, oh my gosh, where did that come from, right? Where did that So I really feel driven by that, and I've had a whole series of synchronicities along the way. It's an idea I resisted for quite a while, and because I thought, I'm in my 60s, I don't want to start a new company, I don't want to this. It's a pretty big vision. There's a big vision. I'm starting with the services that I can personally offer as I explore the bigger role, because you have to chunk things down, and yeah, there was a lot of events that just kind of magically aligned for me, and I made the decision to step into it.
So of all of the things that you've accomplished, and you've mentioned different businesses and ventures, what are you the proudest of?
Well, I'm proud of my son. So, business wise, everything has been an adventure. I don't know that I really have a favorite. Now, I have to say, when I cashed out of that technology company, that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. Um, I've enjoyed everything that I have. I mean, I can honestly say, it sounds corny as what I'm about to say, but I've honestly enjoyed it, right? I was in the restaurant and hospitality business for about 10 years. I really enjoyed it. I added value. I was very young, but I still found a way to add value to what I was doing. And so that would always elevate my position wherever I was working, right? And I wasn't fearful, so I didn't mind saying, I didn't mind pitching an idea or what have you. Um, the technology that came very easy to me. I just kept growing. I loved it. I'm going to date myself. I rolled out. This was pretty cool. I rolled out the first IBM desktops, IBM PCXTs. I don't know if you remember those. You had a 10 megabyte hard drive. My God, you had the Cadillac. I rolled those systems out to the Department of Health and Human Services. It was the first desktops they ever had, right? And I did that. I trained everybody on the applications. It was a really interesting experience. Technology grew. Construction was great. I had such a great team. I ended up closing the company after, I don't know, maybe about 11 years. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And I had so much loyalty built. I didn't lose a single employee. They knew I was closing. I was able to find probably 95% of them jobs to ensure that they stayed employed, because at the time that I decided to close, it was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to sell it. No problem. I'm just going to close. And my concern was their welfare. And I think that kind of says a lot when you don't have one employee leave when they know you're closing the company.
Yeah.
So that was a wonderful experience. And this is going to be a wonderful experience. It's all new for me, this business model. So I'm learning as I go in, and I love to learn.
So up to this point, what's been the best fan letter, best success story you've ever had?
I'm going to go back to that acquisition company, because it's the acquisition that I did, because I knew a lot of the people there. And, I was kind of a hero, right? There was a while there where they were like, oh my God, when they found out what was happening. And I did things also to ensure that the team that was already in place at that company, it was a company I had known for a while. I had worked for them previously. I think what's most meaningful for me, the gal that worked for me for years, she still does some work for me. My controller has praised me on, supporting her. I've supported a couple people in their careers and helped them to get homes, get their kids in the schools that they wanted them in, those sorts of things, right? So I think it's those things that really touch your heart, where you've made a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah.
That probably means the most to me.
So Stacie, everyone out there in all these different bubbles of your life have a perception of you, whether it's family, friends, clients, employees, but you ultimately run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I am someone here trying to make a difference. I've had a lot of different experience to bring to bear to that, and I am a very proficient student of life. If I had to summarize myself in one sentence, or one phrase, that would be it. I have a lot of grit, determination, enthusiasm, but pretty much just a really proficient student at life.
That's great. That's a great line. I love it.
Thank you.
So if anyone out there wants to learn more about you, anything pertaining to your world, where on the web can they go?
They can go to my website. It's modernconsciousness.com. It's spelled just like it's spelled. If you have to look it up, don't worry about it. It's all one word, no hyphens or anything. And I'm on social media at those same, Modern Consciousness on Facebook and Instagram. There's a free PDF that you can download off the website. 2 keys to free your mind, right, to lead you to happiness and peace of mind. So that's kind of a fun little little piece if this is your first foray into, if your listeners, if it's their first foray into some of this personal development work. And people can email me at empower@aware.life.
Excellent. Stacie, this has been great.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thank you for opening up. Thank you for opening up your world of business and where you're at now. It's wonderful. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
See ya.